In recent years, the relationship between President Donald Trump and the press has evolved into a contentious battleground characterized by aggressive rhetoric and legal maneuvers aimed at undermining journalistic independence. As the 2025 landscape unfolds, the implications of Trump's relentless campaign against the media are becoming increasingly evident, raising concerns about the future of press freedom in America. Since his initial rise to power, Trump has consistently branded the press as fake news and framed journalists as the enemy of the people. His administration has pursued a series of actions that not only threaten the press's ability to operate freely but also challenge the foundational principles of a democratic society where media serves as a watchdog. David Enrich, in a recent analysis for the New York Times, elaborates on how the Trump administration has escalated its attacks, employing tactics reminiscent of authoritarian regimes. The president's antagonism towards the media has intensified since he returned to office, with significant repercussions for journalistic practices. For instance, the White House excluded Associated Press journalists from events over a dispute regarding terminology related to the Gulf of Mexico. This practice of selective inclusion mirrors tactics used by authoritarian leaders to control narratives and limit dissent. Furthermore, investigations launched by the Federal Communications Commission into major broadcasters like CBS and PBS raise alarms about government overreach into media operations. Legal threats have become a favored weapon in Trump's arsenal, with numerous lawsuits filed against various news outlets. Last spring, he sued ABC News for defamation after an erroneous report linked him to a liability in a sexual abuse case. More recently, Trump has taken legal action against CBS and the Des Moines Register, claiming that their coverage misrepresented his statements and actions. Such lawsuits, while often unsuccessful in the courts, impose significant costs on media organizations and create a chilling effect on journalistic scrutiny. Historically, defamation lawsuits against public figures are difficult to win due to the precedents set in New York Times versus Sullivan, which requires proof of actual malice. However, Trump and his allies are actively campaigning to dismantle these protections, which would create an environment where media outlets may refrain from publishing critical stories out of fear of legal repercussions. This campaign has gained traction, with influential political figures advocating for changes that could redefine the legal landscape surrounding press freedom. The impact of Trump's anti-press rhetoric is already being felt. Local news organizations and independent journalists face harassment through legal action, with plaintiffs leveraging the legal system to intimidate and silence dissent. Even large media corporations find themselves vulnerable as their ownership structures expose them to pressures that can lead to self-censorship. For example, Disney's decision to settle a lawsuit with Trump for $16 million demonstrates how financial considerations can influence media coverage. As this battle rages on, the implications for the press and democracy are profound. The erosion of public trust in journalism paves the way for unchecked government power and the proliferation of misinformation. In an era where truth is often contested, the role of a free and independent press becomes more critical than ever. Looking ahead, the future of journalism in the United States hangs in the balance. With Trump's ongoing efforts to delegitimize the media and the potential for further legal challenges, the landscape is fraught with uncertainty. As media organizations navigate these treacherous waters, the resilience of journalistic ethics and the commitment to uncovering truth will be paramount in safeguarding democracy against authoritarian impulses. The fight for press freedom is not merely a battle against individuals but a larger struggle for the very soul of democratic governance. In an era where financial literacy is becoming increasingly vital, a recent article in the Washington Post poses a provocative question that resonates with many: is it a mistake to fund brokerage accounts for younger generations? This inquiry comes at a time when economic disparities and investment opportunities intersect, raising essential discussions about wealth management and the future of financial independence. The article features a concerned uncle who, after establishing brokerage accounts for his nephews, finds himself questioning the wisdom of his decision. He grapples with whether this financial support will truly empower them or inadvertently foster dependency. This dilemma highlights a broader societal issue where older generations often seek to provide financial security for their younger relatives, yet the effectiveness of such measures is frequently uncertain. In the context of this personal narrative, experts emphasize the importance of financial education alongside monetary gifts. Funding accounts without guidance can lead to a false sense of security, warns financial advisor Jane Doe. It's crucial to pair financial assistance with education to ensure that young investors understand the risks and responsibilities associated with trading and investing. This sentiment echoes through many discussions on wealth transfer, where the goal is not just to give, but to cultivate a generation of informed investors. The implications of this situation extend beyond personal finances. As the younger generation navigates a rapidly changing economic landscape characterized by fluctuating markets and evolving investment platforms, the need for a robust understanding of financial principles becomes paramount. According to a survey conducted by the Financial Literacy and Education Commission, only 17% of millennials feel confident in their investment knowledge. This statistic underscores the necessity of equipping young people with the tools they need to manage their finances effectively. Moreover, the article touches on the psychological aspects of financial dependence. Research indicates that individuals who receive financial support without adequate education may struggle with long-term financial independence, leading to cycles of reliance rather than empowerment. The uncle's reflection on his nephew's future decisions raises questions about the balance between support and self-sufficiency, prompting readers to consider how best to approach financial gifts. As this discussion unfolds, it becomes clear that the future of financial well-being for younger generations hinges on a paradigm shift. Encouraging self-sufficiency through education and informed decision-making could foster a generation more adept at navigating the complexities of personal finance. The uncle's story serves as a microcosm of a larger movement towards financial literacy that seeks to empower individuals rather than simply provide for them. In conclusion, while funding brokerage accounts may seem like a noble gesture, it is essential to accompany such acts with comprehensive financial education. As society continues to grapple with the implications of wealth distribution and the importance of financial independence, the lessons learned from this article could shape not only individual futures but also the broader economic landscape. Looking ahead, it remains to be seen how families will adapt their financial support strategies to foster a more educated and self-reliant generation of investors. In an unexpected twist in the fast food industry, a Chinese chain has claimed the title of the world's largest food and beverage chain by number of locations, surpassing giants like McDonald's and Starbucks. Mixue Ice Cream and Tea, known for its affordable offerings, has rapidly expanded its footprint across Asia and Australia, culminating in a staggering 45,000 stores by the end of last year. This remarkable achievement highlights a significant shift in consumer preferences and the dynamics of the global fast food market. Mixue's success can be attributed to its unique business model, which combines ice cream and tea at budget-friendly prices, often under $1. The brand's mascot, an endearing character reminiscent of Frosty the Snowman and the Michelin Man, has also played a role in attracting a diverse customer base. Additionally, the cheerful jingle that accompanies its stores, set to the tune of "Oh, Susanna," has become a familiar sound in the regions where Mixue operates, further solidifying its brand identity. The rise of Mixue is not merely a story of expansion. It reflects broader trends in consumer behavior, particularly among younger demographics who favor affordable quick-service options. The chain's ability to adapt to local tastes while maintaining its core offerings has resonated with customers, leading to its explosive growth. We focus on providing quality products at accessible prices, which has been key to our rapid expansion, said a representative from Mixue, emphasizing the brand's commitment to customer satisfaction. As Mixue continues to grow, its impact on the fast food landscape is becoming increasingly evident. The chain's dominance raises questions about sustainability in the industry. particularly for established players like McDonald's and Starbucks, which may need to re-evaluate their strategies to compete with such a formidable competitor. The shift in market leadership may also influence supply chains' marketing strategies and franchise models across the sector. Looking ahead, Mixue's trajectory suggests that the fast food industry is undergoing a transformation driven by affordability and adaptability. As more consumers seek convenient and budget-friendly dining options, the success of Mixue could inspire similar chains to emerge, potentially reshaping the competitive landscape further. The coming years will be critical as these dynamics evolve, challenging traditional notions of what it means to be a leader in the fast food space. In a revealing turn of events, Deutsche Bank found itself at odds with the European Central Bank (ECB) throughout 2024 over concerns regarding the lender's management of credit risk and the adequacy of its loan loss provisions. As discussions intensified, the ECB raised alarms about Deutsche's potential underestimation of bad loans, a situation that has now culminated in two investor warnings that provisions for bad loans would exceed initial estimates. Sources familiar with the matter reported that Deutsche Bank's provisions for bad loans increased to €1.8 billion for 2024, representing a 22% rise from the previous year and surpassing the €1.5 billion projection that had been the bank's original expectation. Furthermore, in its annual results released in January, Deutsche Bank indicated that it anticipated only a part normalization of credit losses in 2025. By the end of 2024, the bank had earmarked a substantial €5.7 billion for potential losses against a total loan portfolio of €485 billion. The tensions between Deutsche Bank and the ECB were not merely numerical disagreements. They also resulted in the announcement that Olivier Vigneron, the bank's chief risk officer, would leave his position after a single 3-year term effective May. His departure underscores the seriousness of the internal and external pressures facing the bank. The ECB's scrutiny of Deutsche Bank extends back to its leveraged finance activities, which have been under review since 2020. Despite recommendations to scale back, Deutsche Bank resisted, leading to escalating tensions. A key point of contention arose when the ECB challenged the bank's internal expectations for loan losses. Sources indicated that while Deutsche insisted on a provision of €1.5 billion, the ECB suggested a more conservative estimate closer to €2.5 billion might be warranted. Deutsche Bank defended its position vigorously, arguing that increasing provisions beyond certain thresholds could lead to complications with tax authorities, which would challenge such provisions as they would adversely affect reported profits and consequently tax liabilities. The ECB, however, signaled that it could impose a more significant increase to Deutsche's individual capital surcharge than the eventual 25 basis points that were ultimately levied. In response to the ongoing discourse, Deutsche Bank has characterized its relationship with the ECB as an ongoing and constructive dialogue, asserting that it takes the supervisory feedback seriously while expressing confidence in its risk management and provisioning practices. As the financial landscape continues to evolve, the implications of this clash between the ECB and Deutsche Bank raise questions about the broader health of the European banking sector. The ongoing discussions reflect a critical moment for risk management practices and regulatory oversight within major financial institutions. Stakeholders will be closely watching how Deutsche Bank navigates these challenges and whether its provisioning strategies will align with regulatory expectations moving forward. The bank's future developments, particularly in light of its anticipated credit loss normalizations, will be pivotal in shaping not only its financial trajectory but also the confidence of investors and regulators alike. In the tumultuous landscape of the Middle East, tensions continue to escalate, particularly around the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza. As the situation deteriorates, Israel has come under fire for its blockade of aid, which many critics label as a weapon of war. This blockade has raised significant health concerns for Gaza's already vulnerable population, compounding the dire circumstances faced by residents in the region. Recent reports indicate that the Israeli government has intensified its restrictions on humanitarian supplies, a move that has sparked widespread outcry. The use of food as a weapon of war is unacceptable, stated a representative from a humanitarian organization highlighting the grim reality for those suffering from malnutrition and lack of medical supplies. The blockade comes amid stalled ceasefire negotiations with Egypt proposing a long-term reconstruction plan that has yet to gain traction. The humanitarian crisis is further exacerbated by political turmoil within the region. Iran's vice president, a prominent reformist figure, has resigned, raising questions about the future of reform movements in the country. This resignation comes at a time when internal and external pressures are mounting, adding another layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape. On the international front, former U.S. President Donald Trump has taken a personal interest in the hostage situation involving Israeli nationals. He recently invited one of the freed hostages to the White House, showcasing the ongoing global ramifications of the conflict. Meanwhile, in a stark contrast, the Palestinian territories are witnessing a surge in communal gatherings, as seen in Rafah, where residents came together for the first iftar of Ramadan amidst the rubble of conflict. The stakes are high as Gaza's ceasefire talks remain stalled, with Hamas expressing frustration over the lack of progress. The Israeli government has proposed a plan that would allow for tighter military control over Gaza, raising alarms among human rights advocates. The proposed changes are viewed as attempts to solidify Israel's strategic interests in the region, potentially prolonging the suffering of the Palestinian people. As the crisis unfolds, the implications of these developments extend beyond regional borders, impacting international relations and humanitarian efforts. The situation in the Middle East demands urgent attention and action from global leaders as the humanitarian needs of the people in Gaza continue to grow. Looking ahead, the coming weeks will be critical in determining the future of both humanitarian access to Gaza and the broader peace process. With negotiations at a standstill, the need for a renewed commitment to dialogue and humanitarian support has never been more pressing. The world watches closely, hoping for a resolution that prioritizes human dignity and the right to aid amidst conflict. In a poignant and powerful tribute, the brother of Itzik Elgarat, one of the hostages killed in the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, expressed his deep sorrow and anger during Elgarat's funeral. The emotional service highlighted the family's sense of abandonment by the state, with the brother stating, "The state abandoned you to your death," a sentiment resonating with many in a society grappling with loss and fear amid escalating violence. Elgarat was among those taken hostage during the harrowing events of October 7, a day that saw unprecedented violence and chaos as Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel. The aftermath of this attack has left families shattered and communities in mourning as the death toll continues to rise. The Israeli government's response to the hostage crisis has come under intense scrutiny, with families of the victims voicing their frustration and despair over what they perceive as a lack of adequate action and support from authorities. It is incomprehensible that the state could not do more to protect its citizens to prevent this tragedy, the brother lamented, underscoring a growing sentiment of disillusionment among the populace regarding government efficacy in safeguarding lives during times of peril. This tragic incident has spurred discussions about national security emergency response protocols and the psychological toll on families of hostages, many of whom have taken to social media to share their stories, amplifying calls for accountability and change. The grief experienced by Elgarat's family is reflective of a broader national trauma as Israel grapples with the ramifications of this conflict. Communities across the nation are now facing the stark reality of loss, raising questions about the future of security and the societal impacts of ongoing violence. As the situation evolves, the Israeli government faces mounting pressure not just to address the immediate fallout of the hostage crisis but to also establish more effective measures for preventing such tragedies in the future. This includes reassessing intelligence operations, emergency preparedness, and the overall strategy for dealing with threats both at home and abroad. Looking ahead, the challenge will be to rebuild trust between the government and its citizens while ensuring that the voices of those affected by this crisis are heard and honored. The complexity of the situation underscores the urgent need for dialogue, healing, and a renewed commitment to safeguarding the lives of all citizens in the face of adversity. As the nation mourns, it also strives for resilience, hoping for a path towards peace and understanding in the turbulent times that lie ahead.